Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Wednesday, the 12th of January 2022, and we're producing our regular morning update, providing prices, news and economic data. Today we see gold and silver prices continuing yesterday's rise, and we're also witnessing sterling strengthen against the euro, even though the British Prime Minister's position is in potential jeopardy. Let's take a look. Welcome to Illuminati Silver. It's Wednesday, the 12th of January 2022 at 11:24 in the morning. The news today is intriguing. Intriguing by the headlines. For example, we've heard so much about the spread of Omicron and why it's necessary to have various boosters. And now we see the EU warns that repeat boosters could weaken the immune system. It's intriguing because we're often told that Omicron and COVID are going to be determinant of our economic future. And yet it says central banks, not COVID, will drive global economies in 2022. And it's intriguing too, but to a lesser extent, with the headline, "The energy price surge is squeezing Europe's economy." Intriguing because we thought at some stage that with the emphasis on green energy, there should be plenty of wind and plenty of water and plenty of renewables to ensure that there is more than sufficient energy provision available. Let's take a look at the first one. European Union regulators warned that frequent COVID-19 booster shots could adversely affect the immune system and may not be feasible. Repeat booster doses every 4 months could eventually weaken the immune system and tire out people, according to the European Medicines Agency. Instead, countries should leave more time between booster programs and tie them to the onset of the cold season in each hemisphere, following the blueprint set out by influenza vaccination strategies, the agency said. Let's have a look at energy. Soaring energy prices are putting the squeeze on European consumers desperate for some relief after 2 years of coronavirus lockdowns and job worries. The financial pain is taking a toll on households who are more worried about prices than at any time this century and feel less inclined to splurge, according to a European Commission survey. If demand suffers as a result, that has implications for how quickly the economy can fully recover from the destruction wrought by the pandemic. Now, the greatest fear of all, central banks. Central banks, not COVID, will drive the global economies in 2022. The biggest risk this year is that policymakers call the post-pandemic recovery wrong. The coronavirus is not going to be the public enemy number one for the global economy in 2022. The biggest dangers this year will stem from inflation and the risk that policymakers will call the post-COVID recovery wrong. This is the year we'll find out whether the global economy is robust enough to get by with less help from governments and central banks, and whether inflation is a temporary byproduct of COVID or a more persistent problem. When confronted with a wide range of possibilities, forecasters usually settle somewhere in the middle. And then the article goes on. So we have been warned. Finally, something for the UK. UK assets look past Boris Johnson's turmoil with all eyes on the Bank of England, another central bank. Pound traders are overlooking scandals at Downing Street as they focus on events a couple of miles east at Threadneedle Street. Sterling traded close to its strongest in 2 years at 83.4 pence against the euro, ahead of Boris Johnson's grilling at Prime Minister's questions on Wednesday. Johnson is facing calls to resign over a bring-your-own-bottle party at the height of a lockdown, meant to stem the first wave of coronavirus infections in 2020. While assets such as the pound and gilts have regularly reacted to political developments in recent years, It's events at the Bank of England in the driving seat these days. Even the potential ousting of Johnson is unlikely to change that, with the outlook for monetary tightening key. What's the BBC telling us? US and Canada. Biden pushes overhaul of US election law. Quebec to impose a health tax on the unvaccinated. Year on, has Trump benefited from a Twitter ban? And 3 ethical issues around pig heart transplants. Well, yesterday we saw the dollar actually fall in the afternoon. It's marginally up this morning, but is now a little bit off the 96 level at 95.65. We have said for a while we expect the dollar to strengthen, but will trade for a while between 95 and 96. Energy, rising again. We now have WTI crude well into the 80s at 81.73 and Brent crude at $84 a barrel. Equity markets yesterday quite positive in the United States, up between 0.5% and 1.5%. Asia Pacific overnight also positive, up anywhere from 1 to nearly 3%. And even in the UK and Europe this morning, we're seeing markets range between 0.5% and not quite, but approaching 1%. Now, yesterday's economic data, which we actually covered because yesterday's video was later in the day, we saw that the NFIB Small Business Index was slightly better than anticipated. But we've got some key data today. The Consumer Price Index month to month, core CPI month to month, and the Consumer Price Index year over year, and core CPI year over year for December. Be interesting to see how those figures vary from expectations. And of course, the higher that those figures are over the expectations, then the more likely it is that the tapering will be speeded up, and most certainly interest rate rises appearing sooner, as we heard one bank governor suggest that we should have an interest rate rise in the United States as early as March. And then tomorrow we have the jobless claims and the producer price index. So it'll be interesting data to see. What's happened to gold prices? Well, today they are positive, and we now have gold well above that resistance level of 1800 at 1818. Silver too has given us a nice little jump, and that is up 25 cents at 22.80. Will it hit 23 this week? Much depends on the data being announced later today, on Thursday, and the considerable data that we're going to see on Friday. Cryptocurrency markets have moved in line with equity markets, and the market cap is now back above $2 trillion, with Bitcoin now trading at $42,778. That's it for now. Interesting day, an intriguing day in terms of the news and what's going to happen financially. We don't really see any major hiccups in either direction, but Boris Johnson is under pressure in the UK to resign. We doubt that he will. This all adds to the intrigue of geopolitical news. Thank you so much for listening. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, press the bell sign so you're notified of our videos as and when they are published. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.